3, 2, 1.
Education is a word that holds the promise of change, the power to uplift, and the hope to transform lives. In Malaysia, a multiracial and multicultural nation rich in heritage and diversity, education is not just a means to employment, it's a potential ladder to social mobility. But the question we must ask is, does every student have equal access to that ladder? What happens when a child's potential is overshadowed by poverty? Or when a rural student dreams big, but the system falls short in providing the tools to get there? The documentary seeks to uncover the complex relationship between the education and social mobility in Malaysia. We will explore how students' background, environment, and opportunities can either limit or liberate their future. From the heart of bustling Kuala Lumpur to the quiet village of Sabah and so on, we ask, is our education system truly a bridge toward equality, or are we widening the gap without realizing it? From socio-economic pressures to policy reforms, we ask, is our education system doing enough to uplift those who need it the most? Because behind every statistic is a student, a dreamer, a future leader, and it's our collective responsibility to ensure that no child is left behind. It's not just a documentary, it is a call to reflect, to act, and to reimagine what education can be. This is the story of hope, barriers, and transformation. Welcome to Breaking the Cycle, Education and Social Mobility in Malaysia by Trisha Vigneshwaran. Social mobility refers to the ability of individuals or groups to move upward or downward in society's socio-economic structure. In Malaysia, where education is often seen as the gateway to success, school plays a crucial role in shaping this mobility. But what are the real factors that influence a student's ability to break through social barriers and create a better future for themselves? Let's take a closer look at the most critical factors impacting social mobility among students in our country.
A child's socio-economic background plays a critical role in shaping their educational journey. Factors such as family income, parental occupation, and education level directly influence a child's access to quality learning opportunities. Students from B40 households often face multiple interrelated challenges, which is including limited access to educational resources like books, technology, and tuition classes. They may also experience food insecurity, which affects concentration and cognitive development. In rural areas such as Pitas, Sabah students sometimes walk 6 to 8 kilometers daily to reach school and often share textbooks among siblings. On the other hand, children from urban T20 families may have access to private tutors, international schools, and quiet home environments, which is like conducive to study. So according to a 2020 report by the Khazanah Research Institute, over 50% of children from low-income families underperform in key literacy and numeracy benchmarks, with only 57% of rural students meeting minimum proficiency in English. These statistics illustrate the stark gap in outcomes between socio-economic groups and underscore how financial and social limitations can set the stage for academic underachievement from a very early age. Next, the quality of school infrastructure significantly impacts the teaching and learning process, often determining whether students have the tools and environment they need to succeed. In rural and remote regions like Sabah and Sarawak and Orang Asli settlements, students sometimes travel for hours using boats, motorcycles, or by walking through rough terrain just to get to the school. Many of these schools suffer from inadequate infrastructure, which is like leaking roofs, no internet connection, or insufficient furniture. For instance, over 1,300 rural schools in Malaysia lack reliable water supply and more than 500 struggle with consistent electricity or internet, which is as reported by the Ministry of Education in 2021. In stark contrast, schools in urban areas like Subang Jaya or Georgetown are equipped with air-conditioned classrooms, which is like high-speed Wi-Fi, robotic labs, and fully resourced computer labs. So when students are assessed using the same national examination like PT3 or SPM, this urban-rural divide results in deeply unequal competition. A student from dilapidated rural school is not just competing with peers, but also with their limitations of their physical environment, making it harder to achieve academic excellence. So, where you live often determines the quality of your education. Students in rural schools may lack access to internet, qualified English teachers, and proper facilities. So now let's look how parental education and home support works like. Parental education levels and the support children receive at home are equally important in determining educational outcomes, where parents with higher education are generally more involved in their children's academic life, which like they help with homework, encourage reading, communicate with teachers, and expose their children to stimulating environments. In contrast, parents with limited school may be less confident or unable to assist with schoolwork, even if they are supportive emotionally. So like many B40 parents work long hours or multiple jobs, which leaving their children to manage studies independently. According to the Ministry of Education Household Survey in 2020, children whose parents have tertiary education are 2.3 times more likely to complete secondary school than those whose parents only completed primary education. In many low-income families, older children are tasked with caring for siblings while parents work, which reducing time for revision or homework. While some students may show resilience in this situation, many others fall behind due to the lack of academic scaffolding at home, which widening their performance gap between students from different family backgrounds. Not only that, the digital divide and language barriers have become more visible, especially after the COVID-19 pandemic forced schools to shift to online learning. Students from lower income families often lack access to basic digital tools such as laptops, tablets, or stable internet connections. In fact, UNICEF Malaysia 2020 reported that 1 in 3 students in B40 households relied on a parent's smartphone for online classes, making consistent learning difficult. In extreme cases, such as the widely reported story of a student in Beaufort, Sabah, some children had to climb trees to find a stable internet signal. Beyond digital access, language proficiency adds another layer of complexity for students in marginalized communities. Many children in Orang Asli villages or remote parts of Sabah and Sarawak speak indigenous languages at home, and their exposure to Bahasa Malaysia or English is minimal. These students often struggle to understand lessons taught in unfamiliar languages, which is especially when instructional materials are only available in Malay or English. The dual challenge of navigating both content and language not only hampers academic progress but can also lead to low self-esteem and school disengagement. Thus, without equitable access to digital tools and language support, these students remain at a significant disadvantage in the education system.
By recognizing these barriers, the Ministry of Education has introduced several reforms. But how effective it is in addressing the social mobility?
So, the Malaysia Education Blueprint 2013 to 2025 Pelan Pembangunan Pendidikan Malaysia or PPPM was developed as a comprehensive roadmap to transform the education system and reduce disparities, particularly between urban and rural students, with the core vision that every child is a national asset. The blueprint emphasizes access, equity, quality, unity, and efficiency. One of its key aims to close the achievement gap between students of different socio-economic backgrounds and geographic location. It sets measurable targets for such as ensuring 100% enrollment across all schooling levels and improving student outcomes in core subjects like mathematics, science, and English. The blueprint also prioritizes teacher training and school leadership, recognizing that quality teaching is the single most important in-school factor, which is affecting student learning. For instance, the introduction of the Dual Language Program (DLP) under the blueprint allows selected schools to teach science and mathematics in English, which promoting bilingual proficiency and global competitiveness. However, these implementation challenges persist, especially in underfunded rural areas that lack qualified teachers or parental support for bilingual instruction. Another transformative initiative under the blueprint is the Trust School Program, Sekolah Amanah, introduced in 2011 in partnership with Yayasan Amir and the Ministry of Education. Trust schools focus on improving governance, leadership, teaching quality, and holistic student development by granting more autonomy to school management and fostering stronger community engagement. These schools are guided by key performance indicators (KPIs) related to student outcomes, leadership effectiveness, and stakeholder involvement. Research conducted by Leap Ed Service, a key implementing partner, shows that students in trust schools exhibit higher motivation, better attendance, and improved academic results compared to their counterparts in non-trust schools. For example, Sekolah Kebangsaan Bandar Baru Bangi, a trust school since 2014, recorded a significant rise in UPSR performance and teacher satisfaction within 3 years. However, scalability remains a concern as only around 90 schools in Malaysia currently benefit from this model, leaving many high-need schools still untouched by such reforms. Next, TVET pathways and career-based learning is also one of the educational transformation which uplift the social mobility. In recognizing that academic excellence is not the only path to success, the Malaysia government has increased investment in technical and vocational education and training, which is TVET. TVET provides hands-on skill-based learning for students whose strengths lie in practical fields such as engineering, culinary arts, automotive repair, ICT, and agriculture. Institutions like College Vocational and Mara Skills Institutes have become platforms for social mobility, offering professional certifications that are directly linked to the job market. According to the 12th Malaysia Plan, over 60% of future jobs in the country will require TVET qualifications and equivalent skills. Initiatives such as the National TVET Council and industry partnerships ensure that training is aligned with evolving economic demands. Success stories include students from College Vocational Gombak who, after graduating with a diploma in mechanical engineering, secured employment at multinational companies or started their own small enterprises. So, TVET helps break the stigma that non-academic pathways are inferior, especially for B40 who may struggle in traditional academic settings but excelled in applied learning environments. Isn't it fascinating? So, let's move on to the next segment, which is digital learning and Delima platform. In a push toward 21st century education, the Ministry of Education launched the Digital Educational Learning Initiative Malaysia, Delima, which is a platform, a centralized digital learning ecosystem providing access to Google Classroom, Microsoft Teams, and various open educational resources. During the COVID-19 pandemic, the Lima became a lifeline to over 5 million students nationwide, enabling continued learning despite physical school closures. Students could access ebooks, learning videos, and interactive lessons from their own devices. However, the effectiveness of Delima has been mixed. While students in urban centers benefited from high-speed internet and digital literacy, those in rural and interior regions struggled. A study by UNICEF Malaysia 2021 found that 1 in 5 students in remote Sabah and Sarawak could not access online lessons due to lack of devices or connectivity. Even within B40 urban households, children often had to share one smartphone among multiple siblings, which is disrupting learning continuity. Despite its potential, the Lima's success depends heavily on closing the digital divide, which is through device subsidies and also improved infrastructure and digital learning training for teachers and parents, which really help for the students, so that the teacher and parents also can guide the students who is not enough of knowledge of the technologies.
So, is Malaysian educational transformation working? While intentions are noble, but the implementation faces several roadblocks.
Despite nationwide policies like the Malaysia Education Blueprint and Trust Schools, the rollout of reforms is inconsistent. Urban schools often enjoy better facilities, trained staff, and digital access, while rural and remote schools continue to struggle with basic needs like reliable electricity and qualified teachers. For example, many schools in Sabah and Sarawak still face poor infrastructure, affecting teaching quality and student motivation. This imbalance prevents students across regions from receiving equal opportunities to succeed. So the next will be teacher quality and support. As we know, teachers are crucial to successful transformation, but many face heavy workloads, lack of resources, and limited ongoing training. While CPD programs exist, they don't always provide practical tools teachers need in real classrooms. Without enough support, even the most motivated educators may struggle to adopt innovative practices, uh, which is a teacher's ability to make a difference depends not just on policy, but on how well they are supported to grow professionally. So, this is why the government has to give uh, more motivation to the educators and more programs for educators to create the qualified teachers. What more can be done? To improve, we need to strengthen partnerships between schools and communities, ensuring students have broader support networks. Holistic support, including mental health services, mentoring, and career guidance, should be part of school system, especially for at-risk students. Incentives for rural teachers can help retain talent in underserved areas. Most importantly, schools must embrace flexible student-centered teaching that reflects learners' diverse needs and backgrounds. Equity in education means meeting students where they are, not expecting them to all fit one mold.
Before I end my session, I would like to play the video that I asked the hope of rural and urban teachers' opinion on social mobility on education.
Education opens doors to better opportunities. In urban schools, we have more resources, but challenges still exist. With the right support, every child can succeed. Social mobility starts with quality education for all. Rural students have big dreams, but they need equal access. Limited resources make learning harder, yet their determination is inspiring. With better facilities and teacher support, they can achieve just as much. Education should bridge the gap, not widen it.
Hey everyone, so let's wrap up our deep dive into the role of education in Malaysia's social mobility. Now we've seen the stark contrast between rural and urban schools, but here's the big question. How does education bridge the gap between kampung life and city opportunities? First off, let's talk about rural schools. Despite limited resources, these schools are often brimming with potential. Teachers in these areas are not just educators, they're mentors, community leaders, and sometimes even a second family to their students. These schools might lack fancy facilities, but they make up for it with heart and determination. And that's powerful. On the flip side, urban schools in Malaysia typically have more resources, better infrastructure, and greater access to technology. But it's not just the material advantage, it's also about exposure. Students in urban areas often have more opportunities for extracurricular activities, internships, and networking, which are crucial for personal and professional growth. Now, think about low-income households. Education can be the lifeline that lifts families out of poverty. When a child from a low-income family gains access to quality education, it's not just their life that changes, but their entire family's trajectory can shift. This is why scholarships, government initiatives, and community support are so vital. But the magic happens when we blend the strengths of both worlds. Imagine a rural student getting the same level of technological resources as their urban counterparts, or an urban student learning the resilience and community spirit often found in rural areas. When these experiences intersect, we create a more balanced, inclusive, and forward-thinking society. So, what's the takeaway? Education is the key to unlocking social mobility in Malaysia. It's the bridge that connects the kampung and the city, the tool that levels the playing field, and the beacon that lights the path to a brighter future. As educators, parents, and community members, we all have a role to play. Let's advocate for equitable resources, support innovative teaching methods, and most importantly, inspire our students to dream big, no matter where they come from. Because at the end of the day, education isn't just about academics, it's about empowering individuals to reach their fullest potential and contribute to a thriving, inclusive society. Thanks for watching and keep inspiring.
Social mobility is not just about moving up economically. It's about giving every child the dignity and opportunity to dream beyond their circumstances. Let us not forget, when we uplift the least privileged, we uplift the nation.
As future educators, policymakers, and citizens, we must ensure that education in Malaysia is not a privilege, but a promise to every child in every corner of the country to increase the social mobility. So that's all from me. Thank you so much.